So, my friends, welcome to a new crypto update video. Bitcoin at 117,500 US dollars. Not much change in the last few days. So we're still in our consolidation range, where our Bit keeps getting liquidated over and over. Even last night, I think, another 590 million in longs and shorts were liquidated. So as we can see, there's a bit of movement going on. You especially need to be extremely careful with altcoins right now. We'll definitely take a look at Ethereum and Solana. Of course, we'll also check out the stock markets. There's still quite a bit coming up this week there as well. So, make sure to stick around until the end. But before we get started, feel free to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, feel free to join the free Telegram talk and signal group. If you're interested in updates, news, and signals, definitely join in. You'll find the link for that for free down in the video description. And if you're still looking for an exchange where you can trade all of this, feel free to sign up with my partner exchange, Binks. The link for that is also down in the video description. And right now, there are quite a few opportunities to snag some USDT and bonus trades. So just sign up using the link below. Alright, let's get into it. Bitcoin, as I said, is at 117,500 US dollars, with very little movement over the past few days. Let's start off by taking a look at the funding rates. We can see that, okay, they're still very, very reasonable. Except for one or two exchanges, everything is basically in the white zone. White means neutral, so that's how it should normally be. Red means, let's say, too many longs in the market, and green would of course mean there are more shorts in the market. So you can see, the market is relatively balanced, and we can still see that here in this consolidation range. We're currently in a bigger altcoin phase. But I have to say, what makes me a bit happy at the moment, especially for all the Bitcoin traders, is that the RSI is now only at 45 on the 4-hour chart. That's a good sign that we're slowly but surely, let's say, dialing back the momentum a bit, that the big hype isn't there right now, even though Google search queries are already very, very high again. But it's a good sign that we still have some potential here for the next leg up. We still have some numbers coming out this week. I think, Powell is speaking today as well, if I'm not mistaken. Then Tesla and Google are releasing their quarterly results, or rather their earnings, so keep an eye on that too. So at the moment, trading without a stop loss is very, very risky in my opinion. We still have our vector zone down here, that's this red box, which in my view is still very, very good for going long. So everything that goes down here, all the way down to around 111,000 US dollars, would definitely be a long zone for me, because my target for now, assuming all the numbers stay positive, we don't get any nasty surprises, and so on. The target up here at around 125,000 US dollars still remains for now. So nothing has changed in that regard at the moment. As I said, the RSI is coming down nicely, really nicely. Even on the 1-hour chart, we were already close to the oversold area again at times. So there's a good chance for Bitcoin that we might slowly but surely see a little turnaround to the upside here, especially since Bitcoin dominance has now clearly reached 60%. Here too, it's worth taking a look at the daily time frame. At the moment, we found support again. We initially broke through the important upper level to the downside, and now we're basically back in our uptrend. So as long as this holds, you still have to be a bit cautious when it comes to an altcoin season. We also saw last night that the markets dropped a bit, especially the altcoins, but there were also some 10, 20, 30% profit takings. It's always possible that we'll see a brief period where Bitcoin outperforms again before the altcoins might want to move up further. But as you can see here, this is our daily trend, and it's still intact. So right now we're testing the golden pocket here, which we only broke through a few weeks or months ago. So, I would say, it's still too early to officially declare a lasting altcoin season. Speaking of altcoins, let's start with Ethereum. How's it looking there? Ethereum just keeps pumping and pumping, and we've climbed all the way up to highs of 3,850 US dollars. The trend is still very, very bullish. I wouldn't necessarily short it at the moment either. I already mentioned that yesterday in the Telegram group. We've now reached the 1.0 level of the FIP extension here, so it's quite possible that Wave 3 is already finished here. Theoretically, but this would be my current extension area, we could still rise up to 4,200 or even 4,500 US dollars. But honestly, I'd like to see a correction in between. That means our target, which we talked about last week in the live stream and also during the weekend live stream, still remains down here at 3,000 to 2,700 US dollars for now. I'd definitely keep an eye on that range. Of course, this zone might need to be adjusted if we end up going even higher. But for now, that's my target zone for potential new long trades and a possible fifth wave, which could then take us up to around $4,500. Of course, it's worth mentioning that from the current level, that would mean a drop of 18%. Right now, it's a bit hard to imagine, but if you look at altcoins from time to time, you know they can make moves like that to the downside within just a few hours. A quick flash crash that catches everyone off guard and then instantly gets bought back up, a huge wick that sooner or later gets filled. Otherwise, let's take a quick look here at the 1 hour time frame. What does it look like? No surprises there either. At least in the 1 hour time frame, we've seen the RSI correct quite a bit, and there's also been a clear increase in volume. You can really see that down here. So actually, everything still looks like it's heading further up. That's why I wouldn't short it. Of course, we have massive divergences, no matter which time frame you look at. We check the 1 hour, the 4 hour. Probably, if we look at the whole thing from a daily perspective, we're also clearly overbought, but funnily enough, there's no divergence, so no bearish divergence. The only thing that's still a bit weak here, at least on the larger time frames, is, well, the volume. But as I said, shorting, no, I'd rather use the long opportunity if we get a dip. But that doesn't mean we can't keep going up. As I said, those are the overarching targets. To the downside, that would be the long area. Let's move over to Solana, and I actually posted something about it yesterday. We've now reached the Solana target zone, so yeah, or rather, that was actually my old post. For example, Solana made a strong, impulsive move. The target is initially between $192 and $195. That was my old post from, 8 in the morning, and then by the evening the target zone was reached. But even here, there's still room to move if we look at the chart. We're currently trading at $199. If we assume that this was possibly wave 2, we have an extension area from around $217 up to even, $274. Personally, I don't see that happening for now, hence the red zone. For now, it's just this area here. There's also still an inefficiency and a vector candle here. So that means this whole area up here should be considered a sell zone, and then possibly the reversal will come. So that down here we can enter a long position again for what could be the last leg up into the zone of $270 or $300. So that's the plan for Solana for now. Remember, no matter which altcoin you're trading at the moment, take your profits and don't get too greedy. Here too, the RSI is completely overheated on the daily, and especially on the 4 hour time frame, it's insanely overheated. So really be careful and don't fall into FOMO. There are always new opportunities coming up, so don't just jump in here blindly. Let's move over to the regular markets, or rather, the traditional markets. Gold is still stuck in its range, barely any movement. I think people are still waiting a bit to see how the quarterly numbers turn out, especially from the big players, and of course for any new updates from the Fed. If interest rate cuts do happen, that would be extremely bullish for gold. So here too, I'll slowly but surely start to position myself long if we get another small dip in the next few hours or days, around the 200 SMA area at 3,344. That's probably when I'll start leaning towards a long position. I'm still extremely bullish on gold, and while we're at it, we can also quickly talk about silver. Silver is also still looking very bullish. The two, I definitely still see prices between $42 and $48. So I'll stay long on precious metals for now and wouldn't consider shorting them. Alright, then let's move on to the traditional markets. DAX is showing no movement, and the Nasdaq is still in its upward trend. Volume is still very weak, even when we look at it on a daily basis, but we're hitting one all-time high after another. It might not look particularly pretty right now, but as I said, the trend is still intact for the time being. We also still have, I'd say, some room to go up to just under 24,000 points. Dow Jones, same story, still consolidating. Still no all-time high, but it's looking more and more like a bull flag. So the target is also becoming much clearer. We should move up again here and reach a new all-time high. And S&P 500, same story, constantly hitting new all-time highs. So nothing has changed there for now either. As I said, now the quarterly results from Google and Tesla are coming up. Keep an eye on that, and otherwise, be careful with the altcoins. Don't over-leverage or anything like that. Now's a good time to take some profits, maybe even sell a bit of your spot holdings. If we look at Casper, for example, it's already up over 100% from the bottom, and smart contracts are coming soon. These are just some examples, but just take a little something off the table, and then I'd say you'll be well prepared for a possible, minor correction. Alright, that's it from my side. We'll catch up again tomorrow morning with a little update video. Otherwise, feel free to join the free Telegram group. That's where you actually get most of the updates, especially when I'm on the go, since I'll just post something there from time to time. And otherwise, I'd say I wish you all a nice, relaxing day. Take care of yourselves. As I said, we'll catch up again tomorrow with a new update. Until then, ciao ciao, and as always, stay crypto.